let's say he molested 1,000 children, factually, genetic evidence and everything, things that we don't deny scientifically. We say, wow, okay, true. If someone was to ask me, would you still worship him as your Most High, acknowledge him as your Most High God? I would have to.
I am not the Messiah, and I never was the Messiah, and I never will be the Messiah. And check it out. You understand? People are going to hate me. Blessed is he who is persecuted after righteous name's sake. For great is his reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before. I am not claiming to be a prophet. Let me set the record straight. I have never claimed to be the beloved Messiah, Jesus, Yeshua, or Isa and Maryam. And listen, I am not the Messiah. Please, don't let people do that to me. Don't, oh, he calls himself Jesus. Please, there's a million Muslims with the name Isa. There's nowhere on my name anywhere where you see Al-Masih. I repeat, I am not the Messiah. I am not the Messiah. When one of them say that, I was talking to the man, looking right in his mouth. He said, I am not the Messiah, and I never was the Messiah, and I never will be the Messiah. I am not the Messiah, and I never was the Messiah, and I never will be the Messiah. I am not a prophet. I never was a prophet, and I never will be a prophet. You understand? What else must I tell you that I'm not? I am not the Messiah, and I never was the Messiah, and I never will be the Messiah.
Listen to reason. Consequently, since saviors and also liberators have been mentioned in this topic, this reporter of 9 News would like to make this point at this junction of these writings. Some believers in the world of religion are taught to expect the world liberator, and other believers are taught to expect the return of the Savior. And according to religious history, he would never return as a Savior, but as a liberator instead, because a Savior in religion is one who offers himself up as a sacrificial lamb. For transgressions, iniquities, wrongdoings, evils, and sins of others, the guilty. But the liberator in spiritual science is one who helps liberate peoples from adverse forces. To put it another way, a world liberator is the creator and destroyer combined. One who helps destroy adverse forces like slavery in all its forms, racial oppression, destructive habits, false teachings, blind belief, superstitions, nature ignorance, falsehoods, deception, misrepresentation, no representation, disease, hunger, inequality, injustice, disorder, confusion, division, misunderstanding, false or no definition, and false or no identity of persons, places, and things. And as creator, the liberator replaces whatever he destroys and replaces it with something better. The point is this: the cycle of the Savior has passed, So now it's time for the cycle of the liberator. According to the laws and cycles of omniscient nature, the Savior was Logos, the second emanation of the one supreme being, and the liberator is Nous, the first emanation of the one eternal supreme being, by the laws and cycles of Almighty and also absolute nature. As promised by the forces and powers of nature and predicted by the ancients and sages of antiquity, let it be remembered always and let it be known.
Question 7. Is Dr. York a savior for black people in this day and time?
In order for people to understand the answer, they have to understand what Savior is. Because when you hear that, the first thing people think of is Jesus.
All day long.
Religion. And so when we look at Jesus Christ and we look at salvation, what exactly was he trying to save? Who was he trying to save? Or what was he trying to save, right? What was that all about? And so you ask a Christian, they'll give you one point of view. You ask myself, a Nuwaupian, I'm going to give you another point of view. The point of view that we're saying, according to the Bible, that is. The question comes up, why did Judas betray Jesus? Why did Judas betray Jesus? Because Judas' concept of a savior was not what Jesus came to do. Judas believed that Jesus was going to save the Jews at that time from the persecution of the Romans. A ruler, king, someone like King David was going to free them.
Like a fighter. Somebody come and physically.
He was going to save the day. No, that's not what Jesus came to save them from. It explains in the book of Hosea, chapter 4, I believe. Read chapter 4. It says, my people suffer what? From a lack of knowledge. People are suffering because of ignorance. Jesus came to save the people from the ignorance of their behavior. And once they acquire the correct type of knowledge, then their conditions will transform. And we see that in the example with Mary Magdalene, where the people were going to kill her. They were going to stone this woman to death.
Question 8. Why don't black people acknowledge Dr. York as a savior in this day and time?
It goes into the whole concept of savior, as I was just explaining. Basically, people have a misconception of what a savior is and what a savior is supposed to do. They're not looking at it from someone trying to save them from the ignorance of their decisions, their day-to-day decisions. And if you take a snapshot of black people around the planet, and I mean, we're making ignorant decisions in unprecedented ways. And that can be corrected overnight just by giving black people the correct type of information. They would not be making these type of decisions, and their lives would change just like that.
It's interesting you bring that up, though, because, from you saying that, when people say savior, most of the time you could use that interchangeably with hero. So it's more like someone else do the decision making.
That's the part. It's their interpretation of what they think savior is. Because remember, Jesus came to save the individual, not the individual saving themselves based on what Jesus taught. They don't see it that way. They see that he saved them and he's the salvation, as opposed to he came to teach salvation information. That's the difference.
whoever is Nuwaup, don't ask me no questions. We're going to be the richest and the wealthiest tribe on the planet. The master teacher said that. We are going to have our new land back, better than the last one. We're moving on Nuwaupia, and guess what? I'm rolling with the big kahuna.
The time for the Savior has passed. It is now time for mental resurrection, liberation, justice, judgment, settlement, and balance for all peoples on planet Earth, as promised by the forces of nature and predicted by the ancients and sages of antiquity. Nuwaup, please cause it to be.